The Valdrian council chamber hummed with bioluminescent energy as High Commander Zixthor reviewed the holographic display. Before him floated the image of a small blue planet in a distant arm of the galaxy, a world the ancient texts called Terra, home to a species known as humans. "The translation is complete," announced his tactical advisor, her crystalline appendages clicking rhythmically. "The warning inscription from the precursor archive is over 10,000 cycles old." Zixthor dismissed it with a wave. "Ancient superstition." The precursors fell because they were weak, not because of some primitive species from a backwater system. The advisor hesitated. "Commander, the text specifically warns against engaging humans in prolonged conflict. It speaks of their adaptability." "Adaptability?" Zixthor's laugh echoed through the chamber. "We have conquered 47 systems. Our military might is unmatched. These humans haven't even achieved faster-than-light travel without our stolen technology. They are nothing." What Zixthor didn't know was that humanity had already noticed the Valdrian surveillance probes, and 2 humans in particular were about to prove the ancient warning terrifyingly accurate. Eleanor Chen stood in the command center of humanity's first deep space research station, her dark eyes fixed on the tactical screen. She was a xenobiologist by training, but 3 months of monitoring Valdrian movements had turned her into something else, a strategist. "They're positioning for an invasion," she said quietly, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "Look at the pattern. They've done this before: surveillance, resource assessment, then overwhelming force." Logan Martinez, the station's chief engineer, joined her at the console, his calloused hands, scarred from countless hours in zero-gravity repair work, clenched into fists. "We can't fight them conventionally. Their ships are centuries ahead of ours." "We don't fight them conventionally," Eleanor replied, a thin smile crossing her lips. "We do what humans do best." "What's that?" "We improvise, we adapt. We refuse to quit." Within hours, Eleanor had assembled every scientist, engineer, and military advisor available through the quantum communication network. Logan led the technical team, his mind already racing through possibilities that would seem insane to any other species in the galaxy. The Valdrians expected surrender or a brief, futile resistance. They didn't understand the first thing about humanity. When the Valdrian fleet emerged from hyperspace above Earth, Zixthor anticipated victory within days. His armada consisted of 200 warships, each capable of glassing a continent. The humans had barely 30 combat-capable vessels, retrofitted colony ships with makeshift weapons. "Pathetic," Zixthor muttered, as the human fleet formed a defensive line. "End this quickly." The first wave of Valdrian fighters swept toward Earth's defenders. Then something unexpected happened. The human ships didn't retreat. They didn't attempt evasive maneuvers. Instead, they accelerated directly into the Valdrian formation at speeds that should have torn their vessels apart. Logan's voice crackled over the command channel, calm despite the proximity alarm screaming in his cockpit. "Remember, folks, structural integrity is just a suggestion when you're about to die anyway." The human pilots had overridden every safety protocol, pushing their engines beyond theoretical limits. They wove through the Valdrian formation like maniacs, their erratic movements impossible to predict because they weren't following any tactical doctrine. They were making it up as they went. 3 Valdrian cruisers collided, trying to track the chaotic human movements. 5 more sustained critical damage from desperate human ramming attacks. The survivors pulled back, confused and disoriented. "Impossible," Zixthor roared. "They're sacrificing themselves recklessly." His advisor's voice trembled. "Commander, that's what the warning said. Humans don't calculate acceptable losses the way we do. They fight as if every battle is their last." Eleanor watched the engagement from Earth's command center, her heart pounding. They'd bought time, but at a terrible cost. 12 ships lost, hundreds of lives. But the Valdrians had hesitated, and hesitation was all humanity needed. "Phase 2, she ordered. Over the next weeks, the Valdrians learned what the precursors had tried to warn them about. Humans didn't have superior technology, but they had something far more dangerous: creativity born of desperation. Logan and his engineering teams turned asteroid mining equipment into kinetic weapons. They reprogrammed commercial satellites to emit sensor jamming signals. They even weaponized their own obsolete space stations, setting them on collision courses with Valdrian supply lines. Every setback made humans more dangerous, not less. When the Valdrians deployed quantum-shielded dreadnoughts, human scientists worked 72 hours straight to find the shield frequency and developed a countermeasure using modified communications arrays. When Valdrian bioweapons were released, killing thousands, humanity's response wasn't surrender. It was rage. Eleanor personally led a retaliatory strike, using modified medical nanites that infiltrated Valdrian life support systems, turning their own technology against them. Zixthor watched his unstoppable armada slowly dismantled by a species that should have been extinct. They used tactics no military academy would teach. They took risks no sane commander would authorize. They turned every loss into motivation for greater ferocity. The ancient warning echoed in his mind. Humans do not fight to win. They fight to survive, and survival has no rules. 6 months after the invasion began, Zixthor stood alone in his flagship's command center. His fleet was reduced to 17 functional ships. The humans had lost far more, yet they kept coming, kept adapting, kept finding new ways to hurt him. Eleanor's face appeared on his view screen, translated by the communication software. She looked exhausted, her face bearing scars from recent combat. Logan stood beside her, his arm in a regenerative cast. "You can leave now," Eleanor said simply, "or we'll show you what humans do when we stop being creative and just get angry." Zixthor knew she wasn't bluffing. He'd seen the weapon platforms they'd built in Earth's Lagrange points, primitive nuclear devices combined with Valdrian technology salvaged from destroyed ships. The humans had turned his own invasion force into weapons against him. The warning was true, he whispered, signaling the retreat. As the Valdrian ships limped away from Earth's system, Zixthor updated the ancient database himself, adding humanity to the list of species never to be engaged in warfare. The precursors had learned this lesson at the cost of their civilization. The Valdrians had learned it at the cost of their pride. Eleanor and Logan watched the enemy fleet disappear into hyperspace. They'd saved Earth not through superior firepower, but through the stubborn, creative, relentless refusal to accept defeat that defined humanity. The galaxy had dismissed the ancient warning. They wouldn't make that mistake again. The end.